All right, welcome to Real Talk TV. I am your girl, Real Talk, aka Missy, aka Miss Lady Connect. And tonight we have a special guest. It is Ivy ReVined, the one, the only. So let me introduce Ivy before she begins um, telling you about what she does. And so Ivy is a master relationship coach Ivy ReVined is a master relationship coach with a specific interest in codependency recovery and narcissistic abuse recovery. She is a coach, mentor, and instructor for Universal Coach Institute, where she previously obtained her ICF Master in Coaching and Coaching Certificate in 2009. Ivy is currently working towards her bachelor's degree in psychology with a targeted interest in working with cluster B and C personality disorders. Ivy hopes to be a continued voice of awareness and support and a support system for people who are suffering from these afflictions. Okay, so Ivy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, by the way. I do appreciate it.
No problem. So we're just going to jump right into the questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Oh, yes. I mean, everything that you said there, that's who I am. I'm also a mother of three grown children, which gives me a lot of time now to invest in my interest. I started this journey when they were very, very young, coming out of a domestic violence relationship is really made me think as to why I got in that relationship and what I want to do for my journey going forward. And then I started to have an interest in psychology and coaching and teaching. And that's where I've been ever since. So, other than that, I spend a lot of my time. I have a support group on Facebook where it's a codependency recovery support group. And I spend a lot of time working with clients all across the United States, understanding their afflictions and finding their purpose in life. So that's what I normally do on a regular basis.
Awesome. Okay. So, what does it mean to be a life coach?
Wow, that's a great question. Now, okay, so the best way I could put this, I'm gonna give you two versions. I'm gonna give you the textbook version, and then I'm gonna give you what I feel it really is. Okay, so the
Yeah.
textbook, the textbook version really is like a wellness coach, right, to help you fulfill your purpose. So, and how I would like to just to extend on that, it could be a person who can help you facilitate where you want to go, what purpose you want to reach in life through your via mind, body, or spirit. So you have coaches who are who help you with your body, right? So they're still coaches, but they help you with your body, right? And you have people who might help you with your spirituality, right? And they're coaches, but they're helping you maybe get more invested into your religion or something like that. So you have other people who can come into your life and help you maybe organize your business. Right now,
Hmm.
they're not doing the work for you. Now, if I'm big on metaphors. So let me give you one. If you think maybe about, you ever been to a big game, like a baseball game, football game,
Yes.
right? And you see people dressed in these yellow jackets or green jackets, and they're directing you either towards the exits or towards your seat, right? Now, how I like to tie that into coaching is we're like that. We know where you need to go. We're not going to necessarily tell you you have to get there, right? We're going to point you in the direction, right? We let me see your ticket. So people come into your life and you show them the ticket in which your life has started, right? And we can say, I've been there, I've done that, I know where that goes. You might want to go this way. Let's talk about it. Or I can eat, and you might even want me to assist you to that seat. But in life coaching, we cannot tell you to sit down. You might walk around that theater or that arena all day long. It is entirely up to you to do the work. It is entirely up to you to take a seat in your life and work on your objectives, work on where you want to go, work on your purpose. So, as coaches, we just ask those very powerful questions and have those very intense conversations so that you can get those aha moments, those moments of enlightening and those moments of awakening to move towards your purpose. So we're just the cheerleaders of that. That's all life coaching is at the end of the day, the cheerleaders.
Thank you.
You're
Wow.
welcome.
Yes.
You're welcome.
And so don't feel uncomfortable if I don't talk. This is
It's okay.
very different from our normal forum. I want
Yes,
the people to know who you
I
are.
get it.
And so, which leads me to my next question. Um, what type of certification would you need to be in this line of work? Tell me all about how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna try to break that down. Um, Now, this might startle a lot of people because, and this is why a lot of people are iffy about coaching, because coaching is not regulated. Therefore, you, anybody, any person could wake up tomorrow and say, you know what, I want to be a coach tomorrow. And not only that, they can also say, I want to have a couple of clients too. Right? And they can
Mhm.
literally get paid paid clients to come to them, and they can have conversations with them as a life coach and literally make money in life coaching. Unfortunately, it is not recommended. You know why? Because through getting your certifications, you're taught to actually ask those very, very powerful questions, open ended, those um, um, solution focused modules that we use methods in psychology, which is the CBT format for cognitive behavioral therapy. We use the positive psychology's transformational focus formats. We use all of the same things psychologists use. You would learn through getting your certification. Now, in terms of the certification, it's not regulated by the state. However, there is I would call a place kind of like a regulated place, but it's not regulated by the state. But there's a company called the ICF, which is the International Coach Federation, right? And through the International Coach Federations, they work closely with the state. Now, they're not mandated by the state, but they work closely with the state in order to um, be able to know the differences of what type of models we can use, that we're safely not jumping into that umbrella of psychology, because psychology is where you would definitely do the work. You would go to school, you would learn way more in depth than just understanding formats, right, and understanding formulas or tools, right? Psychology is the process in which you really study the mind. You really study the mind in in life coaching. The only difference is we help our clients move forward. The psychologist is more than welcome to stay in your past and talk to you about your past all day long. They want to know about your mother, sister, father, brother, blah, 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 and they can stay on that session after session after session until you get out of that mindset, right? But with us, we might dabble a little bit in trying to understand where your past is, but our main objective is to take you towards your future. That's why we focus on positive psychology. That's why we focus on cognitive behavioral therapy, so that we can move you forward. And the only other thing is, I can't diagnose you. I can't diagnose you. You cannot come and sit down and talk to me and I say, yeah, I think you are schizophrenic. I cannot do that, right? I will definitely recommend that you go speak to somebody who find that diagnosis for you. And only through getting your certification, you will understand when it is the right time to go ahead and recommend that somebody go see a therapist. And if you are a great coach, you will have therapists that you work closely with to make those references too.
That's right.
So that's what a real dedicated life coach do. We go and we get our certification. So I did get my certification. I took my school with Universal Coach Institute, but they are in partnership with the ICF. Therefore, all of the tests and all the things that I had to learn came from the ICF, which is the International Coach Federation.
Would you say that experience is also a part of those certifications that you need in order to be a coach rather than, let's say, a therapist?
In terms of experience, what you experience in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, I find that when you have a certain experience in life, you're more passionate to help people in that area. Certainly, now that I am actually an instructor myself and a coach myself, teaching other people how to be coaches in my lifetime, I know that a lot of people who come to me within UCI, they want to learn how to teach people things that they are passionate about, right? Or help people where they come from, what they're passionate about. So it certainly don't always have to be, maybe if you came out of an abusive relationship, now you want to help people in that abusive relationship. People come from all walks of life doing different things. Some people are really good at teaching people, helping people build a business because they are business gurus. They love to build businesses. They love to build mock-up businesses and move on, build a mock-up business and move on. So they might going to coaching and saying, you know what, I'm going to help people learn how to build their business. And then I'm going to move on and help somebody else build their business. So, yes, I feel like passion and experience definitely is the right formula to be able to go into that field and kind of help people from where you come from. And for myself, yes, I specifically dabble in codependency because of my past, but I wouldn't have been able to put any more passion into something else like helping somebody with their business because that's not where I come from. So yes, that's what it's all about. I believe experience and passion is definitely part of that formula. Absolutely.
Awesome. Wow, wow, wow.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you something, right?
Okay.
Um, what makes you stand out from other coaches who also teach about codependency and these things?
Okay. I guess where I stand out is I really see, because I'm also a positive person. I don't want to ever really believe that I'm far better or far worse. I feel like as coaches, and specifically if you go into the area of codependency, I want to give everybody their flowers because it's such a hard area to coach in. Now, I think where I really am in a position to say that maybe I differ is because of my many, not just overall, many experience, years of experience dealing not only with my own codependency, but dealing with a lot of people with that affliction as well. And because I actually am in a school where a lot of people are coming in as codependents, right? Or recovered codependents, and now they want to teach in that field. I have just, I guess, way more experience with people with that affliction than most codependent coaches do, right?
Mm,
On both sides of the fence, people who have recovered and people who are seeking to get recovered from that codependency. So overall, it's just I'm just around a lot more people with that affliction, and therefore my experience in that is a little bit more in depth.
okay.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And so we've been tossing around these terms, codependency, and so for those who may not know what that is, could you explain what codependency is and what led you to this career path and in this focus?
sure. Uh, I used to say this when I really didn't get it myself. I used to feel that codependency was a love addiction. I got to clarify that now based on my many years of experience. Really, what it is a person have an overwhelming need and attachment to be with somebody who is incapable of reciprocating that love. Therefore, the other person is un- emotionally unavailable. Is the best
Mm,
way to put that. So, therefore, as a codependent, if I'm a codependent, I certainly can get into a relationship with a normal person. However, I have more of a soul tie or an immense need to be with someone who is on drugs, who is an alcoholic, who is addicted to gambling, who is addicted to porn, who is a narcissist because they're emotionally unavailable as well, or who have many of those personality disorders, really bad personality, even psychopaths or sociopaths, or we just have a soul tie
mhm.
towards people who we cannot have emotionally because they're not available to us emotionally, right? So that's what codependency is. And then we kind of dive in and give most of our mind, body, and spirit towards these people because we have an overwhelming need to not only just be with them, but to cater to them, to take care of them, to fix them, even though we need fixing ourselves. Okay. So that's codependency in a nutshell. Now, what got me there is because of my own very own experience. When I was younger, I was what you would call a parentified child. Let me express what that means. When my mother was had me and my siblings, and she was very much so the codependent herself because she had kids very young and she was very enabled. We could get into. I don't want to go into my whole family generation, but I'm gonna say it started with my mother. She decided to have children very young. So when she went to go back out into the working field because my father was on drugs, they separated. That caused a traumatic situation for me. And then I had to take on the responsibilities that my father would have had if he was there, which means I had to help with my siblings. I had to take them to school. I had to cook, clean. I had to do everything while my mother was at work. So I was a latchkey kid, right? I would be the one turning the key in and helping my siblings come in from school and helping them with the homework and blah, 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 everything, getting them ready for bed and getting up the next morning and do it all over again. I became a young mother at a very young age, roughly around at age 11, 12. That's when I became a mother, in a sense. So when I met my ex-husband, he was a narcissist. Let's put it what it is. Potentially, because like I said, I'm not going to diagnose him, and he never diagnosed himself. He was potentially narcissistic. So what happened was, because of his own childhood experience, he came in and he started that pattern of separating me away from my family. And when he did, I ran away to be with him around the age 15, 16. And I started my family very, very early. So with my codependency in that relationship, I started to have this overwhelming need to just give everything over to him. He had my mind, my body, and my spirit. Okay. And it was a very rough, traumatic, and very abusive relationship. When I got out of that relationship, I left with the clothes on my back, just the clothes on my back, and my three children in that union, three young children. And I did made a choice. I said, what was it? Not about him. I started very, very early being the point of thumb team and not a finger. Now I certainly know he have a problem, but I had to figure out what was my problem before I can ever point a finger at him. Why was I attracted to this man and what made me stay? And then I started to get into this whole arena of codependency. Why? Because of a person who I really respected. I'm not going to bring her name up, but she was like a mentor of mine. And I remember being on Facebook saying, I was saying some real crazy stuff on Facebook. I don't care what anybody say. I'm always going to be a lover, not a fighter. I'm always going to be there for a person, even if they hurt me, because I'm a great person. And then all of that spelled codependency. Okay. And I said it with my own words. And she said, don't you think that's a little codependent? And I said, what is that? What is codependency? And I looked it up. And there it was. And my life changed. There you
Oh
go.
no, I'll keep going. I was trying to make it big so that you'll be there.
And my
I'm
life
trying to just
changed.
make it so that it's you, because this is, oh man. See,
Okay, that's cool.
I wanna make it you up there. How can I?
Okay, there you go. So yes, my life changed from that
There we
moment
go.
on. Okay, cool. So my life changed from that moment on. I looked into codependency. I went straight into therapy. Okay, I went straight into therapy, and it worked wonders for me. I joined support groups. It worked wonders for me. And then I decided, you know what? I want to do more for it than work wonders for me. It worked so great for me. I was organizing the support groups myself. It worked so much wonders for me. My own therapist was asking, telling me about her life because I was so inspirational. I said, this is more than just learning about who I am. I got to get into this. And then I went ahead and started to get into psychology and coaching from there.
Nice. Oh my, oh my, oh my.
Thank you.
Good. So and thank you for that. Because I think a lot of people don't understand exactly, what the road looks like toward um taking on something as touchy and as tricky as coaching, especially when it comes to uh codependency and how to say I can't diagnose you, but I can still help you.
Yes.
So which leads me to my next question. Why did you choose coaching rather than the occupations in clinical psychology, such as therapists or psychologists?
Well, I mean, certainly I hope to get my finish getting my psychology degree. However, I still probably won't even touch that arena. The reason why I say that is because with psychology, because it's so regulated by whatever state that you in, you are kind of bound by your own hands to do anything that is really groundbreaking work to help a person, right? You kind of have to, kind of like how teachers have to follow a kind of a format of their own, right? Based on what they are supposed to teach in terms of the state, right? And it's the same thing with psychologists. So they have to worry about HIPAA laws. They are mandated reporters, right? They have these licensing boards that they have to always adhere to according to their states. So even now, recently they wrote a whole bunch of regulations regarding COVID-19 as well. So if you have a therapist's office, you have to be very mindful about that, right? And so with all that being said, I don't have to do that as a coach. I don't need that. I don't need it. You could come if I have an office. You could come and talk to me, and it is at my own discretion how I'm gonna deal with you. You just have to be of age, right? And also, if with this world of technology, all I have to do is put you on a Zoom call. At the end of the day, I don't need your medical records. I don't need any of that. I just need to know that you're ready to do the work as a coach. So you have way much more freedom in coaching than you do as a psychologist. Now, the only reason why I'm going into that field is because my passion in codependency is so profound. Like I really want to do more than just understand it. I'm hoping to do some pioneer work in that field. I'm hoping to be able to write some material in that field that is respected across medical boards. I don't want to just be a small voice or, a little fish in a big pond. I'm hoping to be a whale in my lifetime, because it's more than just helping people. You have to constantly do the research, you have to constantly do the reading. So I'm constantly on that level of understanding. I'm never more than a teacher than I am a student at the end of the day. So I'm always that's a very big passion for myself. So I do choose psychology, but I plan on doing something else with that other than having clients do that. Hmm. Okay.
Um, so you pretty much explained why you chose coaching over over being a clinical psychologist, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So my question would be then, um, um, I've seen your videos on YouTube channels and on Ivy ReVined. Is that the complete channel name?
Yes.
Okay, so I've seen it on Ivy ReVined, where you talk about issues surrounding codependency. Can you talk to me about codependency and what that looks like?
Yes. So,
And I think you kind of talked about it a little bit already.
yes.
So, in terms, layman terms, as possible as you can, so that people can go to your channel and kind of learn from it and not feel overwhelmed with the terminology.
Yes, definitely. So, I mean, yes, my channel is really a lot more about codependency than it is anything else. And the reason why I touch on codependency is because there's way more you will see yourself. Not to say anybody would believe that they are codependent, but it's not just codependency I deal with. I kind of like to help people who are perfectionists. I call it my perfectionist, overachievers, people pleasers, and my codependents. And the reason why I say that is because underneath that whole need to be needed, that whole need to do things perfectly, that overachieving spirit, the always wanting to help, but always wanting to do to seem perfect in the eyes of others, or those people who want to feel like they're the salt of the earth, or because they're always giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and expecting none in return. That's where my passion is. And the reason why I say that is because they're the biggest victims a lot of times. They're the biggest victims. They're the true biggest victims a lot of times. And I want to help people who who want to be helped in that area. But I don't like to take on people who portray themselves as the victimizers, because you also have to be very careful of that word, right? I also want to make sure that people are not coming to me saying, "Oh, the woe is me story, the woe is me story, me. Somebody's always hurting me." No, it's a big difference between a codependent, an overachiever, people pleaser, and a perfectionist. Their words are so much different. They come in saying, I did this, and this person hurt me, but I know it's my fault. I know it's my fault." Now, why is that very, very crucial? Is because they take on even the ownership of the person who hurt them, right? And that's the true victims of the world. I want to help those people. Now, certainly, there's people who come in to my channel for narcissistic recovery abuse as well, and I help those people. But to understand what codependency really is a nutshell, is that they are the truth. They are victims, right? 9 times out of 10, because of their overwhelming need to give, and please, and help, right? But there's also something in them that's driving them to do it. It's a compulsion. It's a need to do that, even at the expense of their own sacrificing their own selves for it. And then they're the biggest enablers in the planet. They're the
Mm-hmm.
biggest enablers in the planet. So I need to help the enablers. I feel that when we start to help the enablers understand who they are, we can then get the victimizers, the one who victimize people. We could get them. We have to first start with the source, because the true source, the reason why these people who hurt people, the narcissist of the world, or the people who are victimizing people, they have started from somewhere as well. They had people in their life who enabled them. So if we get to the core, the enablers, and work with them, we have so much less victimizers out there hurting people, right? Because they have no source to work from. We are usually the source. The people come in and tap into us and get energy from us to go out and continue to hurt people. But we have to first realize that we are hurting ourselves and allow this to happen. So that's where I work specifically in that area.
Okay.
Yes.
So here, other this the term codependency, we kind of broke that down, talked about what that is. Um, one of the words we've also heard, and I think ends up getting more attention, is narcissist. Can you explain narcissist in the relation to codependency, and why it is important that we understand the difference between the two terms?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's so funny because some people do get that confused a lot of times. But let's start from the beginning. Um, the narcissist and the codependent, their life started out very similar. Their life was very similar in early childhood development. Now, all on both cases, they either one of three things happened to them: either neglect, abuse, or abandonment. Neglect, abuse, or abandonment, right? And the only difference is that when children grow up out of that early childhood development stage where they were, and that one of those three things happened, the narcissist decided to go off and do it his or her own way, and then the codependent decided to go off to do it his or her own way as well. Now, in terms of the codependent, they decided to control their dynamic so that they will never get hurt again, right? So they want that everything they do is based out of fear of being left. Everything they do is out of fear of being abandoned or abused again. So they become people pleasers. They become perfectionists. They become, the salt of the earth. I'll do anything for you. Just don't hurt me. Just don't leave me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to experience that trauma that I had from my childhood again. Now, the only other difference is a narcissist. He felt the same thing, but he said, nobody will ever do it to me again because I'm going to do it before anybody ever do it to me. That's him and her do that, right?
Interesting.
Right. So they'll say, I don't want to have that experience from my childhood again. So I'm going to leave somebody before they leave me. I'm going to hurt somebody before they hurt me. I'm going to abandon somebody before they abandon me. Right. Abuse somebody before they abuse me. So that's the only difference between a codependent and a narcissist. And at the end of the day, when they, kind of everybody grows up and we're broken little children still in our lifetime, we're all still broken little children, still trying to have this human experience. We still our triggers lead us back to our childhood experience. So a narcissist and even a codependent still sometimes live in their broken childrenness. I would call it broken childrenness, if that's a word. I know it's not, but we still live every single day in our broken childrenness, depending on our triggers. And a narcissist is way more triggered than a codependent, because a codependent can live dormant and have a very normal relationship. It's not until he or she starts to feel like they're about to be abandoned or used or abused or whatever, when the triggers kind of start, right? So that's the only difference between the two.
Okay.
Yes.
Are there any other uh types of personalities to look out for as a codependent
Yeah, I mean, the types of person, I mean, in terms of a relationship or within themselves.
within themselves, and
Yeah,
in terms of how can people recognize whether or not, or at least try to start to piece together what it is that makes them codependent, or maybe they think they are and they realize that they're not. Is there a list of, I want to call them, in the medical field we say signs or symptoms?
yeah,
Are there signs?
yeah. There's absolutely a lot of signs as far as the codependent is concerned. Well, it's the overwhelming need to be needed. I said that before. So
Yeah.
usually, what that how that actually looks like is this: if, say, like you're in a friendship with someone, and you're used to, as a codependent, you're used to always doing for somebody, right? And that, even your friends, so that doesn't just extend to a significant other, extends to friends, family, interpersonal, personal relationships. You could be codependent on people. So your friend decides that she wants to have a birthday party, and she doesn't ask you to help her with the decoration. She's certainly going to bring you over to have you come to the party, but you get really, really hurt that she didn't ask you to decorate. Clearly, she didn't ask you to decorate because you have so much going on in your life already. You got children, you got a job, you got two jobs, you're doing, but then you got the nerve to have, you so upset because she didn't
Mhm.
offer you the opportunity to come and extend your time and your efforts to help her decorate. And you will take that as a blow. You would take it to a blow to your ego. You'll take it, but you want people to need you. You almost are very hurt and disturbed when a person doesn't come and say, please help me get my life together, even though you need your own life to get together as well. You understand? So the need to be needed, the overwhelming need to control. Now, control is a very, very big thing. Codependence, there's two types of codependence. There's a passive codependent and there's an active codependent. A passive codependent is more what I would call a sort of maliciously in the control area, which is they are subtle. It's a passive aggressive control mechanisms, right? They're the type of person, if the child decides to grow up and leave the house, because codependents could be big enablers, and the child is 18 and say, you know what, I want to get my own apartment, and the mother be like, oh well, if you leave the house one day, you might come and find that I'm dead. So, I mean, it's they hold you emotionally hostage to your emotions. They hold you emotionally hostage because the control is, I don't want you to leave. So instead of just saying no, you're not leaving, they'll just use mental tricks to get you to stay because they're fear of being abandoned, right?
Right.
um they will do another thing is they don't know how to regulate their own emotions. They don't know how to regulate their own emotions. So codependents can be quite confused about what emotion to have during what moment that they're in, right? So it is not uncommon for a person to come to a codependent and be like, oh my god, your aunt just died, and they be like, what? Oh wow, I didn't. Oh man, okay. They don't really have no emotion right there. But come into that codependent house and leave the mayonnaise on the table. They will lose their mind. Like they don't know how to regulate their emotions. What they should be mad at or should be happy about. It's like it's totally flipped. Okay. Because
Right.
they don't know how to regulate them. They don't know how to feel about certain things at the moment that they're in. So they have the opposite. It has the opposite effect. And then another thing, of course, is they always tend to have an affinity towards broken people. They have an affinity towards broken people. So they always gravitate towards families, or significant others who just really doesn't deserve any type of even their attention, let alone anyone else's attention.
Right.
So you can always find this person. It's like a woman and she's well put together and she got all of her stuff going for her and she got her hair done, her nails done, her face beat to the gods. And then she'd be like, meet my husband. And he looked like a whole homeless crackhead up the
Right.
street.
Right.
And you'll be like, oh, wait a minute. To me, that's a whole telltale sign. Like, baby, what's going on with you? What's not to say you could judge a person, but that's a sign that really needs to be addressed. Like, and then they find ways also to make excuses for this person. The person can actually be a drug addict. And if you call and say, how is everything going with your relationship? Oh, girl, he's over here, he's fixing my house up, he's painting the house, but she's lying, he's outside, running the streets or something like that. So
Mhm.
as codependents, we tend to really undershadow what really is going on in our lives for the benefit of other people. We enablers. We're big, big, big enablers.
Mm. Mm.
Yeah.
Wow. So, my next question, I just want to say, it sounds like when someone comes to your channel, they better be ready with a pen and a piece of paper. Because you're going to learn something. There's going to be something to take to utilize and to practice outside of the space where they got the information.
Yeah. I
Okay.
definitely want to be clear that I don't try to overwhelm them with medical terminology.
Mhm.
I try to get away from that a lot of times. I want them to see what codependent would look like in their lives. And even if they're not a codependent, please come to my channel because you will 9 times out of 10 recognize somebody in your life who is, right?
Mhm.
So I try to give a generalized statement. I also try to give real life scenarios of what it could look like. Right. So I would say stuff like a woman who is this, a man who is this, and this is what they have going on. So I try to create scenarios to give people a visual and then express what it looks like in real time.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Most of my audience are women,
Okay.
but there are a few men. Is there anything different for codependents and narcissists between men and women that may attract someone to come to your channel and to learn more about the these different
Yeah.
um, I would say personality disorders?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you want to know more about male codependency, definitely still come to my channel because when you think about what a male codependent look like, we still, especially in a lot of communities, we give names to a lot of things, right? And you would think that, okay, I guess the best way to call a codependent, which some women would call, would be a simp. People are calling men simps, right? So he may be a simp, right? So you
Mhm.
think about what a simp look like for you. Come over to my channel and let's discuss codependency and male version of codependency. You might see a correlating difference. A lot of time in psychology, we give people don't understand psychology, so they try to navigate away from that. It's like a really great area for them. So they're like, I don't want to have nothing to do with that. Ugh. Right. And then it's like, but you're still giving people names and categories for something that can definitely fit very well in the area of psychology, right? So and even in female narcissism, right? It's a, come over to my channel. I'm gonna teach definitely a lot about that. I did that in one of my videos as well, where in female in female narcissism, it's really hard to spot. Let me tell you why. Because to talk about a female being a narcissist is very taboo. Why is it taboo? Because when we think about women, we think about women being nurturing, mothering, happy, jolly, giving. We are so much more ready to perceive a woman being a codependent who is a giver, a giver, a giver, because that's we feel like women it's that's in their nature to do that. So codependent women get no real we don't get no kudos for understanding codependency and trying to recover from that because it's like that's what you should be doing. You should be a giver and an enabler, right? But in narcissistic women, it's hard to find out what that really looks like is because they live under a very subtle manipulation tactic. When a narcissistic woman come into your life, she comes in with the story. The story is, oh, woe is me, woe is me, woe is me. He hurt me, she hurt me, they hurt me, they coming at me, they attacking me. This person did this to me, that person did that to me, that person did that to me. Now try asking that same narcissistic woman, well, what did you did? What did you do for them to do that to you? And she says, nothing, nothing. I gave everything. I did it all. And they still trying to hurt me. That's a telltale sign that there's something going on with that woman. Right? And then also keep in mind that a lot of them they're very specific, they're very superficial at the core. They might use things like spirituality or God or religion, or they might seem like they have a level of intelligence, but that's the hook line, that's the hook to get you. When they come in, they're very superficial. They're also very beautiful. They like to keep themselves up to par. Their hair looking good, body. They very superficial, and they're superficial about other people. So guess what? If they take a look at you and you're interested in, like, it's a relationship that's about to happen, they're gonna size you up and down and be like, he's not worth my time. Look how his shirt matched his sneakers, kind of thing, right? It don't
Mm,
match. So they're very superficial at the core, but they don't show it. Now they might get past that if they believe that you have some money so that they can take advantage of you, right? And also keep in mind that as mothers, they can have 3, 4, 5 kids, and people will not know that this mother is a narcissist. But pay very close attention to how she's raising the children. She might have one child that she idolizes, which they call the golden child, right? And that child could get away with murder in the house. That child could literally run across the house with a marker and just, write on all the walls. And she'd be like, leave him alone. He just being a child. He's so cute. But then she'll go ahead and chastise the other child for making a mistake and dropping milk on the floor, right? So that would be the child who she is a scapegoat. So they have children that they scapegoat. They have children that they idolize, which is the golden child. They triangulate the children up against each other. Okay, and they're very passionate about their children looking a certain way in public, but in the household is totally different. So it's not uncommon for this woman not to have it all together in the house. Like, the house could be messy and she's abusive and she's loud and she's beating the children, or she's just verbally abusing them. But outside the house, it's like, when we get outside, everybody better be on their best P's and Q's and get your, everybody keep your heads up and your shirts clean and straightened. And so it's about visuals. And most narcissists, it's about visuals. How they portray themselves in person and what they actually do behind closed doors are two different things. So that's that.
mm,
The best way I can describe that. But yes, on my channel we discuss all of that. Please come in and learn a little thing or two.
nice. Okay, only a few more questions to go. Thank you,
Okay.
Brittany. I just want to know, for my own personal pleasures, what is the can you tell me more about um Ivy the woman versus Ivy ReVined the brand? What is the difference? What makes people? What is it about you that is going to draw people in, that should bring people in to pay attention to Ivy ReVined the brand?
Yes, well, definitely Ivy Revine, the person who still at the end of the day struggles with her codependency, because I also a diagnosed codependent. I have to learn not to always overextend myself. But at the end of the day, as a person, it's just I'm always have a need to help people get to where they need their own purpose. Now I can't do it for you, but certainly as a person, if you call me and say I'm struggling with this, let's talk. I need someone to talk to. That's me. I'm going to be that person because I know where it was. I know where I was back in the day when I had absolutely no one. I know how it feels to be alone in the world without somebody being able to have to listen to you, without an open ear. It's about having open ears. And I also know how it feels to be disconnected and disenfranchised from a community and a people and a family. So I understand that completely. So as a person, it's just in my nature to help a person understand where they are and help them get to where they need to be. Now, as a brand across all board, it's about awareness. I don't have to have one person ever come to my channel and make me no difference, never mind. You know what I'm saying? You know why? Because I'm still going to keep talking about awareness. I'm one of those people who will stand on any street corner with a bullhorn and be like, well, codependency, everybody needs to get checked. Everybody needs to get checked. And I don't care if people are going to keep on walking by. You understand? Because my calling is much more than whether or not I get abused. It's more than that. It's about one person or someone hearing that, like that person did to me when I was younger, and they said, maybe you might be codependent. And she gave me an aha moment when I didn't know what it was. So I made a commitment ever since that day to be what she was to me, be that person who raise an awareness, do a call to action so that people could say, wait a minute, what is that? I need to look into that. You know why? That's really very important to me. as far as the brand is concerned, is because a lot of people are suffering from narcissistic abuse these days, but they don't know that maybe it's something about themselves that they ended up in this relationship with this person, and more importantly, stayed in this for whatever period of time. So you won't understand how narcissistic abuse work unless you understand how maybe codependency work, or how what's working in you, in yourself, within yourself, to have landed you in that relationship. And then you have a way much more clearer picture to discuss what narcissism is at the core. Until you fully understand what was going on yourself, you can't talk about anybody else.
That's
You
right.
know, you
That's
can't.
right.
So it's just one of those things why I really feel it's very important that people come to my channel and learn something. And even if you learn one or two things, you take it and you give that information. It's about paying it forward. I learned something on this person's channel. Let me tell you what I learned. And I live forever immortal through those through that experience. I did my job as a human being. That's it at the end of the day.
Okay. Thank you. Wow,
You're
wow,
welcome.
wow. So, whew, I love having you here today. You don't understand.
Thank
Um,
you.
the my last set of questions. Where do you offer your coaching, and how can people reach you?
Yes. Okay. So I got a website called Coach Ivy ReVined, as it's spelled here as well. Coach Ivy ReVined, all one word. So don't put no spaces in between. So it's CoachIvyReVined.com. You can go on there and you can actually request for me to have a one-on-one. You can also go there and take the codependency assessment, which I put up as well, just to see
I'm
how
gonna
maybe
go do
codependent.
that.
Okay, just see how little codependent you might be. You might not be at all, but just it's a little assessment I put up there. Okay. Also, you can um, you could go there to take the assessment, and then also part of that. What's the other part of that question? I'm sorry, I got kind of carried away with that.
How can we find you?
Okay, yeah, definitely. So yes, so you can find me there, and you can definitely do the one-on-one session with me, and you can also take the assessment as well. And you can also find me. I got a support group called Codependency Recovery Support on Facebook as well. It's a very popping and active coach group going on in there. People come in there, ask some very powerful questions about their codependency and what they're, what it looks, what's going on with them. And then you can also reach me as a private message through those means as well, and ask me any personal question that you want to ask. I'm kind of really quick on the draw with that one as well. I have a team who works with me, so if the questions are very important that I can't get to right away, if they know the answer, they'll get it to you. But if it's something they want me to personally answer, I'm on it. It's not